going to be over $4 billion. It's for Air Force One program. And I think it's ridiculous. I think Boeing is doing a little bit of a number. We want Boeing to make a lot of money, but not that much money.
Good afternoon, everyone. And today is Tuesday, December 6, 2016. And that's how our day started off, with Donald Trump taking control. He said this Air Force One contract for $4 billion is too much money, and he's going to cancel the order. Now here's what you got to be aware of. A lot of news organizations saying, well, Boeing's saying they only have like $176 million, but that is only for their current contract, and that's for maintenance supplies to the old Air Force One. I have seen and read the congressional report in which they already allocated $2.7 billion for research and development, but yet the General Accounting Office says that that number is likely to go to $3.2 billion, and by the year 2020, when the plane is expected to be built, it's going to reach over $4 billion. So don't let the mainstream media try to tell you otherwise with other facts and figures. This next clip is Mike Pence once again describing how Donald Trump plans on taking on our free trade agreements. I find this really intelligent, just common sense. So here's the short clip for you.
Multiple countries, right. Accountability is very difficult, and getting out of them is very difficult.
You're a free trader. Paul Ryan's a free trader. Kevin McCarthy's a free trader. Yeah. Obviously, this is far different than what the orthodoxy of our party has been for the past 30 years. How does Donald Trump get some of this legislation through Paul Ryan's House and Mitch McConnell's Senate if they don't believe, like he believes, that you should do carrier deals, that you should put 35% tariffs on China?
Well, first, number one, Donald Trump and I both believe in the free market, and we both believe in free trade. But the simple fact is that the United States, under successive administrations, have been negotiating really bad trade deals. And as a candidate, Donald Trump called that out. And the American people agreed with him. I'm from the industrial Midwest. I'll tell you what, we've had one heartbreak after another over the last 30 years where we've seen good paying jobs going south of the border, going overseas. And Donald Trump has really described a two-step process that I think is a reflection of a belief in the principles of the free market. Number one is high taxes, excessive regulations, throw in Obamacare in the last 6 years, has literally been creating a weight on American business that's been driving companies out of this country. I mean, we have one of the highest corporate tax rates in the world. Donald Trump and I are committed to working with the Congress to lower that to 15%. To make the American economy more competitive is to recognize the power of the free marketplace, but negotiating trade deals and making sure that we put American jobs and American workers first, and that we put everything on the table, including a recognition that we want to remove, this is what I hear the president-elect saying, he wants to remove the incentive of companies to pull up stakes from places like Indiana and go to Mexico and gain an advantage to be able to build it there and sell it back.
Now, this next story I got for you, it's kind of a long clip, but I think you will enjoy it. Joe Biden attended a special meeting at the Senate in which, through bipartisan support, they passed a bill for cancer research, and they named it after his son, who he lost to brain cancer, Beau Biden. I've got it from beginning to end, and I think it's worth watching.
Well, it's a rare day when we see the Vice President presiding. We welcome him here today. We look forward to welcoming you back later in the week. I know members will have plenty to say about his life and his legacy later in the week. But today, the Senate would like to specifically acknowledge his efforts to help Americans struggling with cancer. He's known the cruel toll this disease can take. But he hasn't let it defeat him. He's chosen to fight back. He's taken a leading role, and the Senate will soon pass the 21st Century Cures Act as a testament to his tremendous effort. I think it's fitting to dedicate this bill's critical cancer initiatives in honor of someone who'd be proud of the presiding officer today, and that's his son, Beau. And in just a moment, that's exactly what the Senate will do. Renaming the NIH's cancer initiatives in this bill after Beau Biden.
Mr. President, Senator Neal for a brief statement.
If I could say to my friend, the Democratic leader, I have one more thing here. So therefore, Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent the Senate proceed to the consideration of H-Con Res 174, which is at the desk.
The clerk will report.
House Concurrent Resolution 174, directing the Clerk of the House of Representatives to make a correction in the enrollment of H.R. 34.
Is there objection to proceeding to the measure? Without objection.
I call up an amendment which would rename a title of the bill, and I would say to the clerk, I would like for her to read the entire thing.
Clerk will report the amendment.
The Senator from Kentucky, Mr. McConnell, for himself and Mr. Reed, proposes an amendment numbered 5137. Beginning on page 1, line 7, strike following correction and all that follows and insert the following. Following corrections. 1. Amend the long title so as to read, an act to accelerate the discovery, development, and delivery of 21st century cures and for other purposes. 2. Amend the section heading for section 1001 so as to read, Beau Biden, Cancer, Moonshot, and NIH Innovation Projects. 3. Amend the table of contents in Section 1 so that the item relating to Section 1001 reads as follows. 1001. Beau Biden, Cancer, Moonshot, and NIH Innovation Projects.
I ask consent the amendment be agreed to, the concurrent resolution as amended be agreed to, and the motion to reconsider be laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate.
Without objection. Democratic leader.
I say to all my colleagues, the presiding officer served in the Senate for 36 years. During the time he was here, he was about as much a man of the Senate as anyone could be. He was a Democrat, but he was also available to anybody, anytime. And I so admire him. I know that he's worked very closely with the Republican leader on some very important issues the last 8 years. So I want the record to be spread with the fact that the presiding officer, proud of his family as anyone could be, and doing this for Beau only furthers the effect that this man, the presiding officer, has had on this country. And I am grateful to the Republican leader for allowing me to co-sponsor this important amendment, changing the name of this bill to the Beau Biden Memorial Moonshot. So grateful to you, Republican leader. All the senators understand the man presiding is really a man of the Senate, always will be.
The clerk will report the motion and vote cloture.
Cloture motion. We, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a close debate on the motion to concur in the House amendment to the Senate amendment to H.R. 34, an act to authorize and strengthen the tsunami detection, forecast, warning, research, and mitigation program of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and for other purposes, signed by 16 senators.
By unanimous consent, the mandatory quorum call will be waived. The question is it the sense of the Senate that the debate on the motion to cloture in the House amendment, to concur in the House amendment to the Senate amendment H.R. 34 shall be brought to a close? The yeas and nays are mandatory. The yeas and nays are mandatory and the clerk will call the roll.
And this next segment, if you've been following my broadcast, is news from around the world. So here it is. Vice President Joe Biden says he's going to run in 2020 for president after an emotional vote to name a cancer research bill after his son, Beau. Lame duck President Joe Biden presided over a Senate session on Monday. He grew emotional when the chamber passed a bill aimed at cancer research. It was a bipartisan measure which was named in honor of his late son, Beau Biden, who died of brain cancer last year. After the session, a smiling Biden told reporters that he would run for the White House in 4 years. He was then given a chance to walk back his comment. However, he was non-committal. This should be interesting. Did you ever feel as though the kids of today are not as smart as they used to be? Well, according to these test scores, you're right. American students are falling drastically behind the rest of the world in math. The 2015 program for the International Student Assessment Study found the trend. Student performances for both science and reading were also found to have stagnated. The U.S. math score was 12 points lower than it was in 2012 and down 18 from 2009. PSA's study investigates performances of more than 600,000 students globally. Just under 6,000 15-year-old pupils took part in the test for the U.S. rankings. LeBron James, who never hid the fact that he was a huge Hillary Clinton supporter, is now acting totally childish. It appears the Cleveland Cavaliers have a contract to stay at Donald Trump's Soho when they visit New York. But LeBron James and a few of his crybaby buddies want to stay at a different hotel. It appears LeBron James and his crybaby posse have asked permission from the Cavaliers to find alternate lodging this week while the team is in New York to play the Jets. It is amazing how such a grown-up man can act so childish. And finally, today in rock news. Guns N' Roses announces the 2017 American and Euro tours. Guns N' Roses have extended their Not in This Lifetime reunion tour with new North American and European dates. And former Skid Row frontman Sebastian Bach claims that John Bon Jovi's father once threatened to kill him. And finally, my favorite part, strange and funny videos from the internet. Now this first one I did myself is a time lapse of Lake Mead starting from the year 1984 to the present year 2016, and you can see how the water level fluctuates. And on the second one, I slowed down the video for you. I want you to pay particular attention to the right lower half and watch how a tributary just completely disappears. And finally, a video you may have already seen already. It is about that snowy, hilly road in Montreal where a bunch of cars pile up. Yes, I got it. I'm going to share it with you. Finally, I'd like to thank you once again for watching this video, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Stay safe.